we go. Oop. All right. Welcome all. Notifications. No idea. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. TikTok. YouTube's notifications are being weird, apparently. Who knew? But whatever. A little strange. All right. Good enough. All right. TikTok. Give me a second, guys. TikTok is always the one that takes a little longer to figure out. And of course, it says subscriber only, which it's not anymore. I'm going to say Trump, Taco, Putin, Epstein. Good enough. Trump, Taco, Putin, Epstein. That should, you think, Ash, that'll be enough to get the trolls? Trump, Taco, comma, Putin, comma, Epstein. that should cover all the bases, I think. Hang on a second. I like playing with the TikTok. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree with the TikTok titles. But hold on a second. Although I'm a little early, relatively early tonight. Usually I'm later than this, but give me a second here. Hold on. Let's see. Well, that's all right. It is all right. We'll do that. Why not? All right. All right. TikTok is rolling. And of course, we'll see if TikTok, if the sound works, our typical ongoing, our TikTokical. All right. Let's see. TikTok, we're rolling. Hey, Herschel. Let's see if my mic is working on TikTok, since that likes to poop out on us. Let me know if that's being good today. Oh, a little more light. There we go. There we go. How's the mic doing on TikTok? Is it being good or evil? It's working today? Okay, weird. So bizarre. So bizarre. Anyway. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. Oh, there we go. All right. Anyway, welcome, folks. Good amount of news today. Not necessarily good news today, but there's news. It's so funny how I think I must have moved the table or something. I'm laughing because, like, on Discord and YouTube, you can see my ring light in the mirror, and I didn't move anything. Maybe I moved it. Did I move the mirror? I might have moved the mirror a little bit. Actually, it's possible. I don't think I moved it too much, though. Yasudario. Anyway, welcome, everybody. It's Monday, August 11th. Already, I'm like freaking out here. We are getting way too into the end of summer already, and it's just blowing my mind here. Way too quick. Way too quick. So anyway, welcome, everybody. This is my show. We talk about the latest news from Washington, where I live. We talk about the latest from Ukraine. That's good news on that today. Lots of Trump news today, which we will talk about. But how are folks doing? Decent summer, at least. What's it looking like out there? Nothing changed. We'll talk about the DC stuff. That's our first story. Nothing's new yet. Hunkering down. Exactly. I'm hunkering down from the terror on our streets. The terror, the horror. We can start talking about Trump. So just a reminder, folks, I do this for a living. Your gifts pay the bills, so please keep the gifts coming. That's why I hit you up for this stuff. But the gifts on TikTok and YouTube, subscriptions, TikTok, YouTube, Discord. Gift subscriptions are a nice thing too, because some people can't afford them. And the subscriptions give you little benefits, including the weekend show that we do. So if Spirit moves you, thank you for that. Let's start with Trump and the Washington stuff, which is just crazy. So Trump lied today. You'll be surprised to hear. And there's something wrong with the man, unfortunately, because he really can't. Thank you, G-Man. Trump is an interesting mix of not good and bad. I will say an interesting mix of effective and ineffective qualities. His ineffective qualities are his insecurity and his narcissism and his penchant for lying. He lies a lot. Historically, I would say lies more than any president that we know of in American history. Washington Post said Trump had something like 32,000 lies during his first term. No one lies like Trump. Republicans don't lie like Trump. Democrats don't lie like Trump. Trump is unique in how he lies. No Republican president lies like Trump does. That's the bad side. He always has to, and the DC stuff today, he lied again, left and right. And the thing is, he detracts from his message by lying so much. And he got caught lying today about DC. Not the good side, but the effective side of Trump is he's incredibly good at grabbing onto issue. He's a con man. He's a carnival barkster. He can sell you snake oil, right? He can sell you anything. And part of the way he does that is he finds things you want. Sometimes the thing he thinks you want is hatred. He's very good at selling that. He also is very good at selling issues. In other words, immigration or crime in this case. I'd say crime even more. Immigration, though, too. On immigration, and he started overreaching. He started doing too much and not just too much, too nasty. And it started to bite him in the ass. But Trump, immigration, for the longest time, Democrats and Republicans and independents, normal people, were having a hard time pushing back on immigration because it's an issue that, again, Trump is smart on this. Nobody wants people here illegally. Nobody wants people breaking the law, right? I mean, maybe some people do, most people don't. So that Trump knew that if you tried to stop him, if you tried to say, thank you, Nadine, if you tried to say what he's doing is too mean to people who are here illegally, people would say, well, are you saying people should be here illegally? Right? He picked an issue where people do tend to agree they don't want people to cross the border illegally, right? Then you get to crime. Today was about crime in Washington. And, are we pro-crime? No, right? Is anybody in favor of crime in Washington? I'm quite serious here. He's very good, not always, but often very good at picking issues where it's hard to disagree with him because his tactics are horrible. But on the issue, you go, is anybody pro-crime? No. And you look like you're pro-crime when you argue with him, okay? So that's the first problem. So it can be difficult, like what he did today, which we're going to talk about, except that he lied today. And that's what shoots him in the foot. So Trump today decided to federalize the DC police force because Washington has so much crime. It's out of control. The murders have gone through the roof. It's gone crazy. And Trump decided to nationalize the police force in Washington. The problem is he lied. And I always tell you, I think, rare among, not rare, but certainly among people online who have their own position. I tend to tell the truth, even if you don't like it, as you guys well know. And I'm going to tell you the truth about this issue. Trump is lying, but Washington has always been really bad with crime. This town, I've lived here 40 years minus 2. I was in New York for 2 years. Washington is horrific in terms of crime, always has been. Very scary town crime-wise. But he's lying. That's the thing. Crime's been getting better here. He's lying. Thank you, Edsel. He's totally lying. Thank you, Heather, for subscribing. Crime's gotten much better in the last 2 or 3 years. Can I sing you a song? I'm not sure how to sing you a song about crime, Karina. That's the only problem. It's probably one of the worst. Well, actually, Ukraine might be a worse topic to sing a song about. But he's lying. Crime is getting better in DC. Violent crime is going down. He's lying. And the thing is, and this is where, but again, he's smart in how he does this. Washington is a city with a lot of crime. It is. And nobody likes crime. So you say, well, he's lying because crime isn't that bad in Washington. And people go, well, is it right? The comeback, the response to Trump, not the response to Trump, the response to Trump's critics is, well, are you saying it's bad to address crime? No. Is it bad to put more police on the streets? No. So he's going to put more FBI agents and National Guard to go after criminals and just keep the streets safe at night. Is that a bad thing? No. Right? I mean, you get, that's what I'm saying. He's very smart in how he addresses some of these issues sometimes, because you kind of end up being in a position where you go, well, it's a waste. Crime isn't out of control in DC. Crime's actually getting better. But if he wants to put more guys on the street, okay, whatever, right? And of course, and then let me get the comeback to that. The problem, of course, is he's talking about doing it in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles. And that starts to become scary stuff. That starts to become fascism. I'm not thrilled about him doing it in Washington. Unfortunately, Washington, D.C. has a unique law surrounding it because Washington, D.C., most of you should know, Washington, D.C. is not in any state. We are a federal district. We do not have statehood. We do not have senators, which always annoys me. We have one member of Congress who's not very effective, really. I mean, because she doesn't have any support. And we've got no senators representing us in Washington, D.C. I literally have no senators. So that the federal government is able to take over Washington because of its unique status. The federal government can't do that to New York or Chicago or Los Angeles. So Trump is playing games about the other cities, and it does start to get even more dangerous if he starts mucking around with that. I will also say there's something a little scary about him doing this. Again, in general, he wants to put more police officers or law enforcement on the street. I'm like, great. In Washington, this city has always had a crime problem. Again, he's lying. It's not gotten worse, but this city has always had a crime problem. So if he wants to put some people on the street in general, I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I really don't. But he admitted it's part of something larger. He admitted this was part of looking at doing the same thing to Chicago, putting federal troops on the streets of Chicago. He already put federal troops or state troops, National Guard, actually, no, both National Guard and Marines on the streets of California. You know what's funny about this? For a guy who got elected because he was going to end all war, he sure has a lot of wars going on, right? I mean, he came into, think about this. I mean, he was Mr., right? We're using the military too much. That's all he does is use the military, right? He came into office, immediately threatened war with Canada, threatened war with Mexico, threatened war with Panama, threatened war with Denmark, threatened war with Greenland. He talked about bombing Beijing and Moscow when he first came to office too. And that was just in the last 6 months. Now he's talking about going to war with Mexico and Honduras and El Salvador and Guatemala and Venezuela and Haiti. That happened a couple of days ago. That Trump said, oh, maybe we'll just send U.S. troops in to go after drug lords and stuff, right? He went to war with Iran. He got lucky there that Iran didn't launch terrorist attacks across Europe and America, but he went to war with Iran, right? And now he then sent U.S. troops into Los Angeles. He's now going to send U.S. troops into Washington. He's threatening U.S. troops into Chicago and New York and L.A. I mean, the guy's actually, I think he's been here 7 months now. It's only been 7 months, 6.5 or 7 from January. Yeah, from January to now would be 6.5 months because it was January 20th, guys. That's 120 to 720 would be 6 months. It's only been 6.5, 6.75 months. And he's used U.S. troops a number of times and threatened to put them into war zones a number of times. Now, correct. I see the word Epstein come up. This is about many things. This is about Epstein, and we're going to talk about Epstein in a second because Trump is trying to distract attention away from Epstein. It's also about Trump at his core is an autocrat. He's authoritarian. I don't think he believes in the rule of law. I don't think he believes in democracy at his core. And the really weird part with the story is that supposedly Trump is doing this because one of the Doge guys got beaten up in a mugging or something. And the Doge guy's an idiot, but obviously I'm not going to support him getting mugged. It sounded like a pretty bad story. Actually, he was with some girl. They came to a gang of guys came to his car, threatened him. He shut the door to lock the girl away, which was smart of him. And they attacked him. So I'm not going to defend that. That's horrible. And again, that's some of the scary part of DC. But one guy, got mugged and suddenly you're going to federalize the police force in the nation's capital? Dude, seriously? That's just kind of screwed up. That's very screwed up. Again, it doesn't matter what happened to the guy. It's one crime. You don't federalize the police force. But this is Trump. Again, he's desperate to change the conversation from Epstein. And I think that's the number one thing going on here. But he also is very embarrassed about his first term He's very embarrassed about Russia helping him get elected 2016. He's very embarrassed about the insurrection. And the insurrection stuff totally embarrasses him. I mean, his people, they tried to violently overthrow the government on January 6th. So he's trying to change the topic. He's trying to make everybody else less to compensate for his own sense of being less. Thank you, Tarad, for the swan. Trying to think what else with this. Actually, the press did mention today, we'll say, just that interestingly, the most violent criminal act in Washington, D.C., really since, God, I'm trying to think, any history buffs out there? Would it be the War of 1812? What would be the most violent? The most violent I can think of in 150 years is, actually, that would be 200 years, is Trump's insurrection. Would be the most violent criminal act in Washington, D.C. I can't really think of anything, again, burning Washington back in like 1812, 1814, right? Wouldn't that be the war? A bad omen. Wouldn't that be was it 1814? I'm trying to remember when it actually, and didn't the Brits burned it? Didn't the Canadians have a hand? We talked about this before, and I think you guys told me the Canadians had a hand, and I was like, Canada? But you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think if anything else, but Vietnam protests are not like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to think of a criminal act as violent and awful as the insurrection. And I would say, honestly, burning the White House might be on a par. No, but we're talking about Washington here, in Washington, Yeah. So no, it's ironic that Trump claims to care about criminality in Washington, D.C. And the worst criminal act in 200 years in Washington, D.C., thank you, Fallen, was the one he was involved in, the insurrection on January 6th. And it's the one that he pardoned everybody. But again, we're dealing with the taco. We're dealing with hypocrisy. We're not dealing with someone who's actually standing behind the issues, right? 9/11, that's interesting. Yeah, 9/11's an interesting twist on it. That's interesting. Yeah, I was trying to think of 9/11's interesting. In terms of how 9/11 would be the worst attack in 200 years. Yeah. It's different. 9/11 is different than the insurrection, of course. One was external, one was internal. But actually, so was the War of 1812. It was external. But yeah. You could say 9/11 was the only other one in the last 200 years, right? That was this bad. Thank you, laddie. Just really, it's anyway. So yeah. So that's sort of where we are in this. I think what is most dangerous about this, and that's what I'm saying. I think people who say, even I'm saying he's lying about the crime statistics because he is. The only thing is Washington, D.C. does have a lot of crime. And people who say it doesn't are either lying or don't know why. I was arguing with some guy on Facebook who's like, I lived there 15 years and the only people who had problems were people who weren't aware of their surroundings. I'm like, yeah, well, and I got jumped and they tried to strangle me to death. So I got to tell you, and most of my friends in the 1990s in Washington got mugged. Pretty much everybody I knew in Washington got mugged in the 1990s. Actually, not just 1990s, the 2000s. Not just the 1990s. From 2000 to 2010, everybody I knew got mugged in this town. It was horrible back then. It's better now, but it's still very bad. But again, he's lying. He's lying. That's the difference. He's lying. It might be at a 30-year low. First of all, violent crime, other crime. This is a horrifically violent town. It is a horrifically criminal town. It could be at a low. We are one of the worst cities in America for crime. It might be low for Washington. That's my point I'm trying to tell you. I don't think it's a good enough argument. Here's the thing. It's a good argument and a bad argument to note that we're at a 30-year low, right? Because I'm telling you, objectively, we are one of the worst in the country. We've always been one of the worst crime cities in the country. So the fact that we're lower is great. We're still one of the most dangerous cities in America, but we're less dangerous than we were. Okay, and that's true in the last 30 years. That's the thing. But a horrifically dangerous town this is. But it doesn't matter because the town crime has been going down. That's what I'm saying. Don't argue the crime stats. I think you lose when you argue the crime stats as just crime stats. Because if you try to tell people Washington's safe, they're going to say you're crazy. What you argue is, today, Trump said crime has gotten so out of control, right? Crime has gotten so out of control that he had to federalize the police force. But crime's been going down for years. That I think is the better argument, right? Things are still dangerous in Washington, but they're less dangerous than they were a month ago. They're less dangerous than they were a year ago, and they're less dangerous than they were 3 years ago. And they're much safer than they've been in 20 or 30 years. So why today did he have to do this? It doesn't make sense. That's my point. You could say Washington's dangerous, which it is. And I'm sorry, it is. This is not a safe town. In many ways, it's not a safe town. But it's safer today than it was a year ago. It's safer today than it was 6 months ago. It's safer today than it was 3 months ago. So why 3 months ago didn't Trump do this, right? The town is getting better, and he decides to do extraordinary things that are scary and somewhat authoritarian and somewhat martial law-ish. That's what bothers me about this. And again, it comes down to the fact that he's lying. And the Epstein files. Let's get into that. I think that's my next story anyway. Epstein. Let's talk about Epstein. Very interesting story today. And again, he's trying to distract from Epstein. Remember, so Trump is covering up the Epstein stuff now. He promised to release the Epstein files. He promised to release the client list of Epstein, all this kind of stuff. And, well, for whatever reason, Trump suddenly got very scared about that. Thank you, Fallen. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Trump got very scared about releasing the Epstein information. Trump said it's because, remember, for years, I'm going to release the files. 2 months ago, I'm going to release the files. 2 months ago, Trump's attorney general, the files are on my desk. I'm reviewing them. We're going to release them. Then she suddenly reviews them. Thank you for the swan, Diana. She suddenly reviews the files, and Trump says, I'm not releasing them. Best part, Trump says, I'm not releasing them because the Biden and Obama corrupted the files and put fake information in them. Well, you can do your own thinking as to why would Donald Trump want to release the files, then look at them, and then say, oh my God, I'm not releasing these files because Obama and Biden have lied in these files. I mean, you can guess who's mentioned in the files very poorly if Donald Trump is freaking out about releasing them and claiming that Biden and Obama have doctored the files, because that suggests that he saw something in the files that scared him. Right? He saw something horrible in the files. That's why he's saying it goes to, I'm a lawyer, it goes to reason. If you're saying, oh my God, I'm not releasing these, somebody lied, then the lie must be pretty big, A. It's probably not a lie, but the lie must be pretty big. And B, you saw something bad. And B, who did you see it bad about that you freaked out and decided not to release them? Yourself, right? I mean, who's it about? So Trump doesn't want to release the files. One of the ways he was trying to get around this to deflect attention was he was going to, wanted to release the grand jury testimony and said, oh, we're going to release the Epstein grand jury testimony, right? For Ghislaine, I guess. Or maybe it's Epstein himself. Well, the judge weighed in today, and the judge was hilarious. I mean, it's pretty hilarious. The judge basically said today, I'm not going to release the grand jury files. And here's why. And I'm thinking, when I read the story, I'm thinking, oh, the judge isn't going to release the files because it talks a lot about the victims and stuff, right? Oh, no, not at all. The judge said they're not going to release the grand jury files on Epstein because there's literally nothing new in them at all. All the information has already been public. There's no reason to release it. That basically, when Trump and his people said, oh, I know we're not releasing the client list and all the other files, but we're going to give you the grand jury files of Epstein. And boy, you're going to learn a lot from those grand jury files. The judge said you literally will learn nothing. Let me read this to you. I mean, it's actually very funny in some ways. CNN. The thrust of Judge Paul Engelmeyer's ruling is that this indeed looks, for all intents and purposes, like a smokescreen. Quote, the administration, this is from the judge, the administration's entire premise that the Maxwell grand jury materials would bring to light meaningful new information about Epstein's and Maxwell's crimes, or the government's investigation into them is demonstrably false, the judge said. He said he asked the administration to identify what information would be new, but the government highlighted only scattered words, clauses, and occasional sentences. The judge also said in a footnote that even some of that limited highlighted information was already covered by public testimony at Maxwell's trial. Engelmeyer said those familiar with the case would thus learn next to nothing new, and that the information contains no details. So the information Trump wants to release contains no information about, one, anyone besides Epstein and Maxwell committing these crimes, right, with minors, any information about supposed Epstein clients. So there's the information Trump wanted to release contained, one, no information about anybody else committing crimes. Two, any information about Epstein's clients, zero information about Epstein's, because that's the information we want, is the client information. Any new places the crimes occurred, etc. So, I mean, it's kind of funny in a way. So the judge turned Trump down, is not going to let the Epstein grand jury files be released because Trump was doing a smokescreen. Trump and his people at the Department of Justice, instead of releasing the actual files that they promised to, the actual client list that they promised, were going to release grand jury testimony that simply was already made public. There was nothing in the grand jury testimony that wasn't already published. How's that for crazy, right? How is that crazy? Absolutely crazy. But this is Trump. This is, again, Taco, not just Taco, changing the conversation from Epstein. And again, by the way, the judge turns Trump down. What does he do? He decides to federalize the police in DC, right? What a surprise. What a surprise. Anyway, other news. So kind of a creepy shakedown today. Keep the gifts coming, guys, by the way. Please do. I do this for a living. Your gifts on TikTok and YouTube do make a difference, quite literally, because they pay the bills. So please keep them coming. We found out the total shakedown. We found out today, top American chip makers, NVIDIA and AMD, Trump has decided to let them export their chips to China. In exchange, they've got to give 15% of every deal they make to the US government. I'm sorry, this is creepy as hell. Thank you, Gene, or Jeannie. This is creepy as hell. 15% of every contract, right? Of every contract that NVIDIA and AMD do with the Chinese government, 15% of the profit they've got to give to Donald Trump's administration. I mean, guys, again, how are Republicans okay with this? How are they okay with this? This is, I mean, it's kind of like socialism. It's not European socialism. It's the bad Soviet socialism. It's like the bad stuff, right? I mean, the federal government, or it's mobster, exactly. It's like a mob move. The federal government, oh, hey, Swan. I haven't seen you in a while. I was going to say, Swan is back giving Swan gifts. Good to see you. Thank you, Rosie and Joy. I mean, the federal government is shaking down private companies and making that and saying, we're not going to let you do business unless you give us a portion of your money. This isn't a tax. This is literally a shakedown. 15%. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It boggles my mind. Well, I mean, user who couldn't be bothered to create a name says, what's wrong with it if it helps reduce the deficit? Well, I mean, it's a shakedown. It's kind of like what a mobster would do. I mean, what's wrong with saying, hey, nice business deal you got there with China. It'd be a shame if somebody heard it. If you want the deal, all you got to do is give me 15%. What's wrong with that? It depends if you like Sopranos. You know what I mean? Like, okay. Republicans in the old days, meaning 4 years ago, Republicans, or 8 years ago, Republicans didn't like, government getting involved with business like the way the Communist Party would. They didn't like government telling business what to do. Literally a shakedown of business would be something Republicans typically didn't like in the past. Thank you, Amy. I mean, it's pretty creepy. I'm sorry, it's creepy. He's making private. The other problem here, either selling chips to China is a bad thing or a good thing, right? Either it is dangerous to America's national security to sell semiconductor chips to China, or it's not. It's one or the other. It doesn't make it less dangerous to give the communist Chinese semiconductor chips because Donald Trump's administration is getting enriched from the deal, right? That's part of the problem here, is what does this have to do? Actually, what it really sounds like, it sounds like Trump thought it was dangerous to give the Chinese these chips, but he's willing to do it for money. I don't think that's very safe. I really don't. It does. It sounds like RICO. It totally sounds like RICO. It sounds like a shakedown. And by the way, it's exactly what he's doing to the universities, right? We're going to talk about that in a second too. He's shaking down all the universities for money. All the universities he threatened. $500 million for Harvard. Now they're talking $500 million. One of the other, I don't know if it was Columbia or who, one of the other universities was $100 million. They're just shaking them down. It's really kind of amazing. Blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. But again, what's amazing to me is that Republicans are okay with this. I mean, Republicans used to like accuse you of being a communist if you just wanted to regulate business. Now we've got Trump literally shaking them down for 15% of every deal, or they're not allowed to do business. And the Republicans are going, okay. Because by the way, you know what that is too? That's a 15% tax that Trump just put on American semiconductors. I mean, let's be clear about what this is. He just put a 15% tax, okay, on American semiconductors. That's what he did. I mean, that's what he did. And no deductions, by the way, as well, right? No deductions, 15% tax. And Republicans are okay with him. Again, he did it with the tariffs. He put the largest the Republicans even called it the largest tax increase in American history with the tariffs. And now he's doing it again with these guys. Oh, well, hang on. I'm going to check my temperature because once again, getting a little warm in here. 1 second here. Well, because this time of day, the sun did creep out. So we've got the sun. I've got the curtains drawn, but it still is. It still gets a little bit. That's not too bad. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right. I'll tolerate that. All right. It's 100 in Portland. That's a bit hot for Portland, isn't it? I think. What else we got here? Trump flip-flops on the Intel CEO. Trump has been attacking the CEO of Intel and saying, you're a communist plant with the Chinese and you need to resign. He met with Trump today. Trump is now singing his praises, calling him a success. So in other words, he got offered something in the meeting and now he loves the CEO of Intel. He's shaking these companies down. This is something, again, that Republicans used to not like. They used to call communist. They used to call socialist. Okay. Texas House of Representatives. So Texas Republicans are having a very difficult time trying to steal the next elections. As you know, Trump has called on Republicans nationwide to, especially in Texas, but to gerrymander mid-session, basically, and to steal the next elections. And, well, he's a couple different things here, actually. In Texas, he's doing it nationwide, he's doing it in Texas. In Texas, he's trying to change the number of congressional seats so that Republicans don't lose the election next year. It looks right now like Republicans could lose the congressional election next year. So Trump told them, why don't you go steal some seats in Texas? He said 5 in particular. And if you can steal 5 seats, then Democrats can't win. So Republicans in Texas are trying to steal 5 congressional seats. And the Democrats said, no, we're going to leave town. In Texas, you've got to have a quorum. You've got to have a certain number of people, like a majority or whatever, present, or you can't vote. So they fled town and now they can't vote. Well, they tried to vote again today. They couldn't, which is good, but very scary stuff. And Trump is also doing it with the census. He is now doing a review of the census in order to try to knock off millions of people. And by doing so, change not just the members of Congress, representation in Congress of Democratic states, but also change the electoral votes If you change the electoral votes, right, you're now impacting the presidential election. Very scary stuff. Any case, and again, what Trump is doing is stuff that no Democrat has ever done, that no Republican has ever done. That's what's important here. Trump is doing stuff with the electoral votes and the gerrymandering that no Republican has ever done, no Democrat has ever done. He's doing it mid-session. No one's done this before, right? Both sides gerrymander. Both sides play games with the maps. You're supposed to do, and I don't like it that either side does it, but you're supposed to do it with the census. Trump is having them do it now. You're supposed to do it 2020, 2030. Trump's having them do it now in order to steal seats for the next election. That is far more brazen than anybody has ever done, Republican or Democrat. Again, he always has to do stuff that's far worse than any Republican or Democrat. The lies are far worse. The gerrymandering is far worse. And now he's going after the census, which no one has ever done this that I can think of in history. He literally has ordered his Commerce Department to reopen the census. Again, the census is every 10 years. It's done. It finished in 2020, 2021, right? And he's ordered them to reopen the census so they can rejigger the numbers and take congressional seats away from Democrats and change the electoral votes in the next presidential election. That's crazy. Again, no Republican has ever done this. No Democrat has ever done this. We had a troll who claimed, oh, Democrats always do this. No, they don't. Democrats and Republicans, neither of them do this. This is Trump, right? Thank you, Dave. And I don't like it. I don't like it when either party messes around. But that's the thing. The stuff Trump does is far worse than anybody has ever done before, Democrat or Republican. All right, a little bit more here. Ukraine. So Ukraine news, bad Ukraine news too today. Trump, you'll be surprised to hear, Trump is back to hating Ukraine again and defending Putin. What a surprise. What a surprise. The taco is back. So it took Trump about 3 months of Putin beating him up. Putin's been beating Trump up since the election. Putin, the Brits would use we don't really use the word cuckold much in America. Well, the MAGA extremists do. They like to use the word cuck. But basically, Putin has been like cuckolding Trump literally since day one. Election night, last November. Putin, and Russia's a dictatorship. I mean, everything that happens on state TV in Russia is approved. Putin has the big nightly show on state TV in Russia. Trump gets elected election night. And the nightly news show does a big, very funny to them, they're laughing, segment about Melania Trump's nudie pictures. She did these photo shoots that were very risque, to put it lightly, okay? Some of them on her own, some of them with other women dressed very scantily. And Russia state TV thought it would be very funny to make fun of Melania Trump and these photos. I mean, again, this is like the definition of like cuckold. It's the definition of trying to embarrass Trump is what Putin's doing, okay? Well, you then get to all the last 6 months. Putin has been laughing at Trump from the beginning. Right? I didn't think she was dressed at all. In some of them, she was dressed a little bit. Some of them, she wasn't dressed at all. Then you get to the last 6 months, and Putin has been making fun, especially through his unofficial spokesman, Medvedev, making fun of Trump, basically calling Trump a wimp and making fun of him. Trump had kind of had it. Trump was threatening putting sanctions on Russia. Trump has already put sanctions on more tariffs on India in order to punish them for doing trade with Russia. Well, right after Trump put sanctions on India last week and then threatens new sanctions on Russia on Friday, Trump turns around and goes, oh, we have a breakthrough. We have a breakthrough in the peace with Russia and Ukraine. Trump's big breakthrough, he's going to have a meeting with Putin on Friday in Alaska to discuss his breakthrough. Guess what the big breakthrough is? And I mean, seriously, this is also, some of you may not even be aware of this. There's a much finer point to this story, okay? Trump's big breakthrough is he has been negotiating with Vladimir Putin on his own. Zelensky and the Ukrainians are not part of the negotiation, okay? I mean, imagine this. Russia invades Ukraine unprovoked. Russia has been trying to wipe Ukraine out for 3.5 years. Russia has been committing horrific war crimes in Ukraine that Putin's been indicted by the International Criminal Court. Rather than negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, Trump himself has been negotiating with Putin, which is like Putin negotiating with Putin. Okay, that's the first problem. The negotiation, Trump reaches a breakthrough proposal. Ukraine can give up land for peace is Trump's proposal. And Ukraine's supposed to give up land in the east so the Russians have been trying to take all of Ukraine, but they're especially trying to take land in eastern Ukraine. And Trump's proposal is Ukraine give up the land in eastern Ukraine that Russia hasn't even taken yet. It's Ukrainian land, right? So rather than Russia going to war to get the land, Ukraine should just give it away. Okay, that's the first point. Now, you might be thinking, okay, and they should give Crimea too, which Russia stole in 2014. But you're thinking, well, but if that guarantees peace, is it worth it? But that's not Trump's proposal. Trump's proposal, and it's still, I think, not a good proposal, but Trump's proposal isn't Ukraine give up land in the east and basically give up their land in the south and you'll have peace. Trump, I kid you not, look at the details, guys. Trump's proposal is if Ukraine gives up land in the east, extra land to Russia, and gives up forever Crimea in the south, Russia will be willing to sit down and negotiate with Ukraine. I kid you not, Google this. It's insane. It's absolutely, I mean, the deal's bad enough, but the deal was not a peace deal. It wasn't a peace deal. It was Ukraine gives up a bunch of land in order to get Russia to the negotiating table. That's what's so crazy about. And Trump thought it was a great idea. Trump thought it was a great idea, right? Not even a peace deal. It's it blows my mind. That's the Trump peace deal. The Trump peace deal is Ukraine gives up land in the east, Ukraine gives up land in the south to Russia, and Russia will be willing to negotiate. That's it. Ukraine gets no land. Ukraine gets no peace assurances. Ukraine gets nothing. It literally is, if you want Russia to negotiate, you got to give up a bunch of land. That's it. That's it. Right? Well, what did we learn today? Zelensky came out and said, well, under the Ukrainian constitution, which we all knew, which is true, under the Ukrainian constitution, Ukraine is not allowed to give up land. We can't do it. We can't give the Russians our land. It's literally like banned in the Ukrainian constitution. Zelensky said it. Well, you know what happened next. Trump now hates Zelensky again because tacos will taco, right? Trump always chickens out. Trump always flip-flops. Listen to this. Trump talking about wait. Wait a minute. Where is this? Oh shit, I cut the quote. Oh no, here it is. Here's the quote. The quote got thrown to the end of my notes. I get along with Zelensky, but I disagree with what he's done. Very, very severely disagree. This is a war that should have never happened, Trump says. I was a little bothered by here's the best part from Trump today. I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. Okay, first of all, big surprise that Donald Trump is bothered by the notion of a president having to obey the constitution of their country. I mean, seriously, think about that. He's bothered that Zelensky said, well, our constitution limits what I can do, right? That bothers him. Of course it bothers him because he doesn't believe in the rule of law, right? He goes on. He goes, I mean, he got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap? He got approval to go into war and kill everybody. So, a couple things here. Trump thinks that Zelensky needed to get approval to defend his country when the Russians invaded. Okay? Oh, hey guys, did she move? I didn't see that. Right? Trump thinks Zelensky had to get approval to defend the country when they were invaded. Okay? That's the first thing. He's crazy. But the second thing is Trump thinks Zelensky killed everybody. Trump thinks Zelensky is responsible for killing everybody since the Russians invaded unprovoked. We're now back to the original Trump, Coke original, right? We're now back to the Trump who's a Putin sycophant. We're now back to the Trump who acts like he's in Putin's pocket, sadly. But we're back to that again, right? I mean, it's really, I mean, again, I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody. Because if you listen to Vladimir Putin, that's what you think the war is about, right? If you listen to Vladimir Putin, I mean, Trump has said this before. He's convinced that he's, dog, what are you doing? Go walk around. Oh my God, will you go walk around or something? She's standing in the doorway and her tail's halfway in the door. And I'm like, okay, this is not helpful. But it's a very telling quote from Trump. Very telling quote from Trump. He's back to, honestly, I think he's always believed this. Trump has always been acting in Russia's pocket. He's never liked Zelensky. He's never liked the Ukrainians. He wants his little Nobel Prize he tried to get peace in Iran. And by the way, that didn't go anywhere, right? No, you notice how he doesn't talk about Iran anymore. I mean, I'm glad he went after the nuclear program, but it's not like there's peace in Iran. Not to mention, you typically don't get the Nobel Peace Prize by declaring war, typically. Whatever. A little bit more of this. Trump also announced today that Zelensky won't be invited. The Ukrainians will not be invited to the peace summit about Ukraine. It's going to be Trump and Putin. That's it. The Ukrainians aren't invited. Now, what's interesting about this is Trump is setting himself up for a big failure. And I hope he does fail. I mean, I really do, because there's literally nothing he can agree to with Putin that's going to be good. But I hope he fails, because he is meeting with Putin one-on-one. He now says, this is hilarious. Listen to this. Zelensky wasn't a part of it. I would say he could go to Alaska, but he's gone to, listen, oh my God, listen to this. This is Trump's argument of why Zelensky and the Ukrainians shouldn't be part of the peace negotiations about the war in Ukraine. Okay. He wasn't a part of it. He wasn't a part of what? The war? I think the Ukrainians are part of the war. I would say he could go, but he's gone to a lot of meetings, you know? He's gone to a lot of meetings, you know? So why do we have to invite him to this one that just happens to be the peace conference to possibly end the war? Why would you invite the Ukrainians, right? They've gone to a lot of meetings already. I mean, gibberish. Tarad, he's talking about gibberish. You know, he's been there for 3.5 years. Nothing happened. There you go. There you go. Trump is arguing that because the war has been going on for 3.5 years, clearly the Ukrainians can't solve it, so we shouldn't invite them to the negotiating table, he's claiming. Well, okay, but Putin's been there for 3.5 years too. So why are we... Hey, come on. I don't want you eating stuff. There you go. There's already stuff on your face. I can see it. I know. I see it on your face. But Putin's been there for 3.5 years too. He invaded 3.5 years ago. So why doesn't the same argument apply to Putin? He's been there 3.5 years. There's been no peace because Trump wants Putin's favor. He wants Putin to be his buddy. He wants to be on stage internationally with Putin. So he's the big important man on the stage with the mean Russians. I said this before. It's not nearly as exciting for Trump to be on stage with Zelensky. He wants to be on stage with the evil empire, quote unquote, right? To quote Ronald Reagan, right? Being on stage with the Ukrainians, not as much fun for Donald Trump. Let me see. What else do we have here? Whatever. So Trump does it, but Trump did say, this is the one little saving grace. Trump did say, we're going to see in the meeting if Putin's serious. I'll know right away if he's serious. Yeah, dude. Yeah, right. Anyway, what else? I don't know that we've got. No, that's about it. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. So that's about it. Now that was pretty long, actually. We'll hang and chat. We're not going away, but excuse me, this is the part of the show that we hang and we talk. Oops. There we go. All right. I'm adjusting my cameras so I can. There we go. I can sit and talk to you guys more comfortably. Why don't they arrest Putin in Alaska? Because it is not raining here. It is sunny and warm. Because the U.S. is not a party to the International Criminal Court. So therefore, we would not do the arresting. I mean, you could. Thank you, Gene. Or Jeannie. I'm going to call you Gene, not Jeannie. That looks like a Gene to me. Thank you for the gifts. Keep the gifts coming, guys. Thank you, Rosie, for the music stage. So, yeah. Oh, there's a little Sasha ear going on YouTube and Discord there. There she is. She was being difficult today. I was trying to get her to go out earlier just to get the mail, and she was like, I don't want to get up from my bed. The dog's being a bit obnoxious. Alaska being handed over to Putin. Well, knowing Trump, who the hell knows, right? Well, I don't know why. I mean, again, Trump holding the summit is stupid. You don't hold it in Alaska, for starters, because the Russians keep talking about taking back Alaska. You also don't hold it in Alaska because Putin wants it to be in America. Putin wants to basically spit on the International Criminal Court. And there's no bigger rebuke of the International Criminal Court is the court that went after the Nazis in World War II, right? The Germans. For war crimes. Putin's been indicted for war crimes. There's no bigger rebuke to the International Criminal Court than having America say Putin's war crimes don't matter. And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's having Putin in America to basically and Putin's happy to make it clear that Putin's war crimes don't matter. So wait until Trump finds out how far Alaska is. He's not going to be happy about that. When he finds out he's got to fly 9 hours or whatever to Alaska, he is not going to be happy. Alaska is so far. Now he can go direct. So is it 8 hours direct? Maybe. What's the direct flight? Maybe a little less. Maybe a little less. It's a damn long flight. I'm going to go 7.5, 8 hours though for a direct flight. Alaska's damn far. Wait until Trump figures that one out. But I mean, Putin will show. Is it 8? Okay, I thought so. Because I mean, I've done it commercially, but we didn't go direct. I may have gone direct once. I went direct once to Chicago. I don't remember how long the flight was though. From Anchorage to Chicago. I don't know where they're doing it in Alaska. That's a good question. I mean, Juneau would possibly be a good place to do it, although Juneau's smaller. I mean, Anchorage makes more sense in terms of support and everything because it's big. But Army base, what are they doing it on Elmendorf or something, or whatever? What's it called? Isn't it a joint base now? They changed it, I think, since I was there. Anyway, what is it? Elmendorf, and it's the combination of the two bases now, isn't it? Yeah. What's JBER? What was the other base? I'm forgetting the name of the other base. It was Elmendorf and what's the R? Yeah, that's Sarah Palin's house. There you go. Exactly. Do it from Sarah Palin's house. Oh, she can see Richardson. That's it. Richardson. Yeah. I remember that. Yep. Fort Richardson. Yep. I remember now. Anyway, Putin's double. Oh man. Anyway. Oh boy. Host the enemy on a military base. So what else? National Guard. No, I mean, again, what Trump is doing in DC is stupid. It's just stupid. I think there's a bigger problem in principle with what Trump is doing than in practice. I mean, the homeless thing is weird, but otherwise, I was talking to a friend today, and honestly, I couldn't care less that Trump is putting more FBI in the street or National Guard. Really? I mean, again, I care. I'm saying as a DC resident, putting them on the street here is stupid. It doesn't matter. That's fine. It'll make things a little safer for a month. That's great. But what bothers me is him talking about doing this in Chicago, in New York, in LA, and it's part of this sort of creeping. It's Trump always breaking the rules more and more and more and doing things that no normal president would do. No normal Republican, no normal Democrat would do. That's what's so disturbing. And that's why I said I think there's kind of a more nuanced take on this. I don't care that he's putting these guys on the streets of DC because we do have crime. But it's part of this mission creep. It's part of this slow authoritarianism that's dangerous. Exactly. Chopper just said limit testing. Exactly. It's testing the limits. Los Angeles, putting Marines, putting the National Guards for domestic law enforcement, right? It's testing the limits of really, in some ways, criminal behavior. And again, we saw January 6th, not just January 6th. We also saw when Trump didn't like the Black Lives Matters protesters, he asked the Secretary of Defense why they couldn't shoot the protesters. And his Secretary of Defense was like, are you crazy? And Trump said, well, we don't have to kill them. We could just shoot them in the arms and legs. Quote unquote, Google it. It was crazy. Trump said this. Google it. That's the danger with Trump is the next step there. A.D. Smith, you are so going to get blocked. I am so intolerant of internet trolls. And Ashley, get rid of them. Block them, actually. Don't even mute them. There is a special kind of troll online of people who go, you just said, and they take like one sentence and then they go crazy. You just said you don't care about this issue. Yeah, that's what we've been talking about for the last hour is how much I don't care about this issue. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. No, not Ned. I said AD. Sorry, not you. Not Ned. Not Ned. Yeah, thanks, Ash. No, but the thing is, that's like a liberal troll. And honestly, you know what, too? They're the same kind of people, which drives me nuts. They're the same kind of people who do and you're surprised by this? Oh, my God. Some big, nasty Trump story this weekend, they pulled that crap on me. And you're surprised? And it's a mixture of like virtue signaling, like they understood it was bad, but you didn't, right? And the fact that you're expressing outrage means you're surprised and evil. And you're like, okay, so whatever. I'm not going to go into it, but I've been working online for 30 years, managing online communities. And there's just certain things people have done for 30 years that I've kind of had it. And one of them is just that you're surprised. And it's like, and I'm always like, so this is your way of jumping in and criticizing people for being upset at Trump? Like, how is this beneficial? And it is a distraction from the Epstein files. Thank you, Mario. Mario just did a gift membership that Dan got. Thank you, Mario. Dan, you may thank Mario. Frank T. Oh, thank you, Frank. New Zealand, Frank. John, regarding Texas, is that there are more registered Democrats than Republicans there, hence why they're worried about losing it. I'm not sure what you mean by that. First of all, don't pay to repeat your question. I mean, just type a response. But I assume you're talking about Texas and the gerrymandering and what's going on with the legislature and all of that. The concern is that, well, a couple things. One, they go through what Trump is demanding. Trump is demanding, for example, Trump said, well, I won a lot in the last election, so you need to give Republicans more seats. That's the first concern. The second concern is that even if you keep the vote, the census, whatever the way it was before, you can still redraw the districts to be much worse. And they did. They redrew the districts to get rid of 5 Democratic seats. So however I don't even know the details. However the Republicans did it in Texas, they got rid of 5 Democratic I believe they got rid of 5 Democratic congressional seats. So I don't know underlying how they did it, but I don't think it matters what the population is because you're stealing seats. Again, feel free to give me more there. You don't have to buy another question or anything. Anyway. Alexa, raise the temperature 1 degree. Now I'm getting cold again. Yeah, the sales revenue is bizarre. Hi, Chow, Florida. Well, I've written for The Economist magazine out of London. Who have you written for? Chow, Florida, I guess is the name, is claiming he's a better journalist than I am. Have you heard of The Economist? Maybe you're familiar with them. It's like one of the most famous publications literally in the world, but I'm sure you've written for really important people in Florida. So that's totally cool. Yeah, exactly. Chow, chow, chow. EM goes chow, 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 Florida. Because the mods just got rid of them. Ash just blocked them. Anyway. I forgot who it was. Maybe I forgot if it was one of you guys. They were like, I like when the mods attack your credentials because then it gives you a chance to give which is true actually. Because it's always a little weird to give your credentials. Like, well, the reason I know this stuff is because I'm so smart. But sometimes it doesn't hurt to remind people why it is you actually know stuff. Because doesn't mean you're right. Doesn't mean you're right. I am an expert on this stuff, but it doesn't mean I'm right. I can be wrong. But I'm not some child who just decided to weigh in for fun on politics and international relations, but doesn't mean I'm right. So, well, no, I don't think people should brag about their credentials though. I think, I will say this, years ago, I had a friend who told me at the World Bank, I worked at the World Bank, and he said, you don't mention being a lawyer enough. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you need to mention being a lawyer. Cause he goes, I find at meetings, it helps. Cause at the World Bank, they're all PhDs in economics. And he was like, you got to mention you're a lawyer. And it was funny. So I did try to mention it more at meetings there. But it's hard though, because I do think there's a little bit of well, as a lawyer, let me tell you, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it feels creepy to me, but no, but occasionally when the trolls go crazy, it does help to sort of remind that you may not be, you're not necessarily correct because you're an expert, but you're not flippant at the same time. You're not like some crazy person who's, I think I'm going to give you my opinion. But again, just because you're an expert doesn't make you right. Noticed more shootings. What do you mean more shootings, Gene? Like where? Like where? I am surprised there isn't a PhD in law. I wonder if I don't think I've never heard of it. There's a Juris Doctor, which is a doctorate. Well, the thing is, there's a doctorate in law already. That's what we lawyers have, but it's different than a PhD. PhDs are 5 years. A Juris Doctor is 3 years. You can get a master's in law, which is like 1 year, I think. But it's, I'm surprised they don't, I don't know. I guess you could do a PhD in law. Why not? Right. I wonder, is there nothing like that? You could. Well, because a PhD would be different. It wouldn't be to practice, right? LLM is the PhD, but it's not. An LLM is like an extra year or something, right? Anyway, interesting question. Interesting question. In Canada, you do? Oh, Canada. What, you have a PhD in law? Really? That's interesting. There's a mother-in-law. Exactly. Anyway. What else? I'm not sure what that bar thing is you're talking about, Gene. I don't know it. Anyway, what else, guys? What else? We'll get a few more minutes here. Oh, gosh. So I've been doing I will say, the exercises, they gave me a physical therapy, but I also got that horrible injection, the steroid. What is interesting is this is the default position now of my middle finger after the surgery. This was not the default. The default position, remember, was kind of like I'll show you, like this was the default. And now the default is like this. It's still bent. Now I can straighten it to go straight, which is annoying, but the resting position is much better now, which is good. I probably shouldn't have done that. That hurt a little, but anyway, so I'm glad the finger is behaving, but it's exercises every night. It's not fun. Sleep on it. What does that mean? WC. And I had to buy this little vibrating ball today that she wants me to hold in my hand, which I got. So I did that earlier. I'll do it again. Actually, I've got to soak it. I did forget to soak it today. I'm going to soak it after the show. I think soaking it helps too. I'm guessing it's probably the steroid. It's at least the resting position is much better. I'm glad. I've been doing the heat. That's what she said. I keep forgetting the speech therapist. Totally forgot the speech therapist again. I don't know why I keep forgetting that. And of course, now I leave town on Saturday, so for a week for Chicago. So we shall see. Yeah, I don't think so. I'm sorry, but that's weird. Yeah, that's just weird. That's just weird. Hi, what's the matter, dog? Hi, hello. I see that on your face. I do. You got crap on your face, didn't you? I saw that. You were eating crap outside. Chicago, seeing family for the week. It has been a year. Yes. Up. But I know. Hi. Yes, I know. You're fine. You're fine. Um, I don't know what I'm doing with the show. I mean, I'm going to bring the computer and stuff. Let's see. I'm going to. I will do some shows in Chicago. I don't know if I'll do 5 or not. The weekend I'm not doing because I'm flying on Saturday. But let's see during the week. It just depends. It depends. I don't know. I may or may not be busy. Like one day I've got to take the dog to the vet, but that ends up being like busy because the vet takes forever. So that could screw me over, but we just got to see. It just depends on the day. What is the matter with you? Oh my God. What is the matter with you? I don't understand what you want from me. I really don't. You confuse me. No, the dog whines. Will you stop, please? Although typically, often what the whine means is, I want food. Quiet. This right now probably is. After the show, you let me take, right, after the show, she gets to take a little bit of toothpaste, doggy toothpaste. I give her a little treat and doggy toothpaste after the show. That's why. Chicago vet, because the vet is so much cheaper in Chicago that I just used to go whenever I'd visit my mom, I'd go to the vet there. It's so much cheaper. I mean, so much cheaper that, but eventually I'll have to switch. Probably next year I'll have to switch back here. But they're just so much more expensive. I mean, I got my dog's teeth cleaned and she didn't have any problems. The teeth cleaning was maybe it was less than $250, I think, for teeth cleaning. Okay. Anybody knows? Mom's dog, Kukla, remember Kukla? Kukla got her teeth cleaned at the vet in Chicago, and Kukla had 3 teeth removed. Oh, the vet's great. They're very thorough. 3 teeth removed. Okay. Kukla's cleaning was $500. That's it. In Washington, D.C., I was talking to somebody at my dental office, the woman at the front desk of my dental office. She goes, I got my dog's teeth cleaned in Virginia. Nothing was wrong. She goes, I paid $1,300. I have friends who have paid $1,000 and there's no problem with the teeth. The anesthesia and this and that. I mean, $1,300, Blue. Exactly. I mean, it depends where you live. In Washington, D.C., horrifically expensive. Chicago, very cheap. But yeah, oh my God, this poor woman. One woman we know has a big dog, and at age 5, she got the dog's teeth cleaned, but the dog had to have, I don't even remember. I forget how many teeth. Somewhere between 5 and 8 teeth had to be removed. The price for the cleaning was somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000. But mind you, like, that's a lot of teeth. But in Mom's case, 3 teeth they removed from the dog, and it was $500. In my case, no teeth removed, I think $250. Anyway, but I know your teeth for $125. Actually, that's very good. I actually am changing dentists now because my dentist is very expensive, like $375 a visit, and my friend Matt goes to a dentist that's like $125, and I've got to Uber to Northern Virginia. But I was like, in the end, I'd save $300 a year. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's cheap of me. I don't know. But for $300 a year, I'll take a 20-minute Uber to Virginia. Well, it's $750 a year. And that includes both visits, x-rays, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, $750, it used to be $450. $450 was a good deal. $750 is bullshit, as far as I'm concerned. Your dog had to have 2 surgeries. Oh God, that's right. Blue, I know. Yeah, I agree on the time thing, but you know what? I feel like I'm getting ripped off and I don't like it. I just do. Because Mary was saying, what's your time worth? Which is a good point, but I just feel like I'm getting ripped off. I don't like it. Paying $375 instead of $125. I mean, I just don't like it. And my friend's been going to them for years. He loves them. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't like commuting, but we have phones nowadays, which means when you commute, you can do work on your phone, right? You can read, all that stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Anyway, when will I retire? God only knows. When I get my Greek passport. So who knows? Who knows? The ongoing joy. Oh, did you make the French toast? Oh, you did. Mel says, Mom and I made the ice cream French toast. Well, and what I discovered was do not add eggs. Just you melt the ice cream and you use that liquid with the French toast to soak it, but you got to soak it well to die for. Would you use vanilla or what did you do? Well, what are you going to do? You know what? I'm going to cancel Uber. What am I going to do? Walk? I mean, I'm with you, but what are you going to do? That's like the Amazon stuff when people were like, don't use Amazon. And what exactly am I supposed to use other than Amazon? It's a monopoly. There's literally nothing else to use. Vanilla bean? Yeah, don't add an egg. The eggs are very... Yeah, I use whatever's cheaper, to be honest. So, it's soggy. Well, it's soggy because you didn't cook it. Case. I mean, it's a French toast. You didn't cook it well enough if it's soggy. Or you might have put the heat on too strong. Because if the heat's on too strong, it's going to cook really fast to the outside and the inside won't be cooked. But cookies and cream ice cream, I mean, you could have a lot of fun with the different flavors. I mean, my only concern is that, using ice cream for French toast, you're literally having ice cream for breakfast. Your 2-year-old nephew loves it, I'm sure. I've used applesauce and cake mix for the milk or water. I'm not sure what you mean. You mean in French toast or what? I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, it's very good stuff. It's very good stuff. But as I said, the French toast thing was funny because, you're still eating ice cream for breakfast, which even though, let's face it, French toast and pancakes are dessert for breakfast. I'll give Sasha some. Oh no, she doesn't want water. Oh, you faker. Sasha's whining like she wants water, but her butt is to the water bowl and she's facing the counter. She wants a treat. This is why I yell at my dog. I know my dog. She's a manipulating little witch of a dog. She is. What's wrong with ice cream as breakfast? Even I, who am a big fan, I've got blondies in the fridge. I'm a big fan of sweets. Even I bristle a little at ice cream for breakfast, but it was delicious. I mean, that French toast was one of the best French toast. It was the best French toast I've ever had. But don't add an egg. They say add an egg so it's creamier. Forget it. You add an egg and it cuts the flavor. Ice cream bread. Interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Ice cream bread. Interesting. Hey, it's surprisingly not too much sugar. I thought it was not too much sugar, Case. I thought it was going to be pure sugar. And I was like, ew. It was perfect. And I was very surprised it was perfect. Very surprised. Having said that, my suspicion is if you make French toast, the French toast batter might be very sweet. I never thought it was very sweet. I never tasted it, right? Because stop. You don't taste the raw egg batter of French toast, right? In retrospect now, I wonder if the French toast batter it's probably very sweet, so that it's akin to ice cream sweetness. Anyway, ice cream bread? I don't know. Anyway, it was a very good recipe. Like I said, ice cream French toast. I highly recommend. Jacques Pepin makes it, as do some of our folks here who recommended it. Deep fried ice cream. Well, that's like Mexican ice cream, right? Fried Mexican ice cream. Applesauce is a good alternative for what, though? Will we still have you on TikTok? What, after I eat ice cream French toast? Yes. Sasha does have KGB level skills of manipulation. Yes, she does. Absolutely, positively. Absolutely, positively. Oh, but as I said, just literally melt the ice cream, soak the bread really well. And my guess is, I thought I heard Jacques Pepin say cook it slowly, and he's probably right. If you cook it too quickly, it'll brown too fast, and the inside will be wet and soggy. You want the inside cooked, but you want it, custardy. So I think don't go crazy, but do a lower temperature. But it was delicious, absolutely delicious. Applesauce and brownies. Really? Applesauce and brownies? Oh, in brownies. Oh, you mean yeah. Instead of the oil, you mean? I've used applesauce instead of oil. I don't quite remember how it's gone. I mean, it's pretty simple. You literally melt the ice cream and then soak the bread in it. That's it. But I do think you've got to cook a little more slowly. But yeah, I was saying the joke was that somebody here a week ago told me about the ice cream French toast, and I was like, "You're crazy." And then 3 days later, I see a Jacques Pepin video on Facebook, and he goes, "I worked at this restaurant, and as a shortcut, we would use ice cream to make French toast. I will show you." And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" Like, because I watched the whole thing, and it's you melt the ice cream and you soak the bread. Yeah, no, it was shockingly good, absolutely shockingly good. Yeah. So, but the thing is, what he said, which is interesting too, is you could use any flavor ice cream. Because if you think about it, right? Chocolate, strawberry. I mean, pick your flavor. I would not use good ice cream like Ben and Jerry's. I might not use. You know what I mean? Get a cheap brand of ice cream. But I did look, by the way, and like my cheap brand from across the street has egg yolks in it. How much do you need is tough. It's a decent serving. You'll see. Like each piece of bread that I had needed a decent amount of ice cream. I would say err on the side of not using too much, and you'll just melt more ice cream because the bread will. It's like French toast. The bread will soak up the liquid, and you need more ice, and you'll need more liquid. Yeah. Dulce de leche ice cream. That does sound good. I mean, anything you would totally use Ben and Jerry's. Well, I mean, again, if you want to be decadent, use Ben and Jerry's, or use what's that woman with the expensive ice cream, Jenny's, right? Pay $10 and use Jenny's, sure. But it is a good amount. It was a decent amount of ice cream I had to use. Now, the 2 slices I had were wheat toast, so they were a little thicker. So fair enough. But anyway, Van Leeuwen, that's another $10 one, exactly. I didn't like Van Leeuwen. I finally went to one of their stores. Did not like it. I added a little cinnamon. I don't know if it needs cinnamon. 1 second, dog. I don't know if it needs cinnamon. But I think like all the other flavors would be very interesting. Like chocolate could be very interesting. Or look for an ice cream that's like a cinnamon vanilla or something. You know what I mean? Anyway, you'll all have to try it and let me know what you think. But it was very good. Cornbread and berry. That's interesting. Did he say that? Half cup ice cream per 2 slices of bread. Half cup. Okay. Then he's using like cheap white bread then. Okay. Because it was more than half a cup of ice cream. That's for sure. I think I used a good cup probably, but wheat bread is very thick. It's very substantive. I use, that brand Farmhouse I'm looking at it right now. Farmhouse. It's got a thickness to the wheat. So if you use thank you for the gift, Bowie. If you use a cheap white bread, you probably don't need as much ice cream. Yeah. Maybe start with half a cup and see. Just keep melting more, All right. Exactly. Thank you for the gift, guys. All right. I'm going to go since we're a 20 after, and we went really long last week, which probably wasn't very smart. But thank you guys for the gifts. I'm going to call it quits, and I will see you all mañana. Now that we've done our ice cream talk again, we keep getting sucked into the food. Although I love talking food, it's fun to talk food. See you, Nick. All right, guys. Discord, I'm going to hang up on you first. Hang on a second here. All right, Street Rat. Oh, a couple of you, Jeffrey and JTA. I didn't see the rest of you hiding there. All right, guys, have a good night. All right. YouTube, good night, guys. Will the National Guard be detaining Americans? That's a good question. And they probably will. Oh, you're saying Ingram was asking? Interesting. Well, that's what I was wondering. Is he going to have National Guard detaining people? That's going to be interesting. Anyway, all right. Our YouTube, good night. And TikTok,